Yo, that's a brand new car and you got the hood spray painted?
This guy's pissed.
We're doing a photo shoot.
We're supposed to do a photo shoot, not out here burning up your goddamn tires.
That's what I was told to do.
Yeah, the security guard got was yelling at you, which made the video even better.
Yeah, he was fired up at me. I'm like, bro, I just did what I was told to do.
Eat, Sleep, Race podcast live from the PRI trade show with my co-host Hugo ESR. Special guest today, pro Formula drifter, Formula D driver, Ryan Tuerck.
What's up?
Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, no
All
worries.
the way from New Hampshire.
Yeah.
We're out here in Indianapolis. Let's get to it. Do you classify yourself as a professional drifter or just professional driver?
I say professional drifter. It just sounds a little weird to me. So professional driver, I think, sounds better, but but I am a drift driver, so
I like that because the driver leaves it real open-ended.
It does.
When you get these, corporate gigs or something, they're like, "Oh no, we need the drifter." No, that's Ryan.
Right.
Ryan's your guy. I like that.
I'm the guy, that guy.
And you've been on, like I said, some corporate commercials, Toyota commercials.
Yep. Got some really good opportunities at Toyota last year when they were pushing a GR brand. They did a massive marketing push, and they utilized, myself, Frederick Osbo, Ken Gucci, and Jonathan Castro, who are all the drift drivers for a lot of the marketing programs that they were doing. So it was really cool to do a lot of stunt driving and really be involved in a big way with that.
And exactly for that role, they were looking for drifters. So professional driver, you probably wouldn't have got the gig.
Right. Some professional drivers didn't get the gig.
See, that's where they messed up. They should have just changed the title, drifters.
That's right.
Your whole fleet right now, correct me if I'm wrong, is Toyota.
Yes.
Every single car you own or driving is a Toyota?
No, but yes.
What happened first? Was it the Toyota? Did you own the Toyota and then the Toyota deal came along, or was it the opposite?
Yeah, when so in 2013 is when I got my first. It was a Scion FRS, and that's what we built for Formula D. And I did that for an obvious reason. Scion was one of the only manufacturers that was involved in the sport at the time, so I was hoping to do well enough to, gain some interest there and create a relationship, and it worked out. I got picked up by Scion, I think 1 year, but very, very small, kind of like a parts deal situation. And then Toyota kind of re-ingested the Scion brand again. And then when that happened, my deal got a lot bigger and kind of grew from there into what it is now.
So had you not had that car, this Toyota deal probably wouldn't have happened.
I wouldn't say that, because you never know how some things work in motorsports. Like, there's the weirdest stuff happens at the weirdest times, and it never fails. But it's when I got the deal with Steph, like that deal might have happened even if I didn't kind of go down this road with the Scion.
Because you were driving on Steph's team.
No, because I already kind of had a relationship with Steph a little bit and the team over there, and he felt like I was just a really good fit in general for the brand and for him and driving the GR Corolla. So I feel like that may have happened. But obviously it did. Having a Scion helped the situation all the way,
right,
to be able to do that. So who knows? You never know what that other side is going to be.
That Toyota pickup truck that you're drifting right now, the Stout, right?
Stout, right?
Yeah.
Did they help you find that truck? Because that's not something you come across all the time.
No, that's actually when Dominic and I were building this Formula Supra.
Dominant Engineering, right?
Yeah. We got contacted by TRD and Mobile One to do another project, and we were so immersed in the Formula Supra project, it was like insane to even think about trying to do another one at that time. So anyway, we kind of put everything down and dedicated an afternoon to doing a little research on different Toyota chassis, and we kind of put a little list together. And
did they say they wanted something rare or left it open-ended?
They left it a little open-ended, and I kind of came back with a list for them. And Dominic is the one who found the Toyota Stout chassis.
Oh, wow.
Or just the
I was gonna say,
pictures of it.
Where'd you guys find that from?
Dude, I don't even know.
Oh, first
typical
he found a
Dom
picture
fashion,
of
he
it.
like is really good at finding shit on the internet.
Random stuff.
Yeah, random stuff. That's like really cool.
He found the car listed, or he just found
no,
a
he
picture
just
of the car?
found like that
Picture of the
Toyota
truck.
made an old pickup truck. Like that's like the
Yeah.
Toyota Scout.
And what year is that?
1966. It was like the
Wow.
first pickup truck Toyota sold in the U.S.
I don't even know how you found that.
That's what I mean. So he found it and he showed it to me. I'm like, dude, that's pretty sick. I wasn't even thinking about a pickup truck, let alone
Right.
like a cool ass mini truck.
Yeah.
And my list like was some typical shit like a Mark IV Supra, AE86, and Toyota
More common
Celica.
stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So when he brought that, I was like, that's
That could work.
pretty unique, dude. Like
But now,
that should
how are
probably
you
be
gonna
it.
find one?
Now it's hard to find them now.
Right.
There's an owner. There's like a Toyota Scout owners of the USA group on Facebook, and if you go on there, you're gonna find it.
Yeah, everyone's
But,
privately listing them.
Yeah. There are stuff for sale on there quite often. A lot of it's obviously full resto mod, but
So you guys were
But
able
you
to
can't
find
get
a
'em.
chassis.
Dom again found a chassis on Craigslist down in San Diego. We're building a Supra out in LA at race service at the time, so it wasn't too bad. I drove down there to check it out, and it looked really clean. Like they did not a crazy awesome paint job, but it was clean and looked like it had been restored. And then later on we found out there was just fucking pounds of Bondo all over the truck. But
So had it been
happens.
restored or not, didn't matter anyway, because
It didn't matter because we
tearing it up.
yeah, exactly. Yep.
And what motor is in that truck?
So it's a hybrid like 3S GTE motor. So it uses a 5 SFE block, which is originally a 2.2 liter. I think they came in like Camrys and probably RAV4s and a couple other Toyota models.
Okay.
So you're talking, I think, early to mid 90s for that. But that block is a much stronger casting, I guess. And this is all information I got from Brendan, the dude from PSI Racing that built the engine. And he, I found him on the internet because he's like one of the only 3S guys that drag races the engine, and he's doing like 1,000 horsepower on the things. I was like, all right, this is probably the proper guy to build the engine. So he kind of walked me through what I needed to purchase and send down to him and get that thing dialed in. So it's a 5 SFE block, a 1986 naturally aspirated Celica twin cam head.
Okay.
So it's old as hell, but
Are those easy to find?
no. The valve covers are even harder to find. And the valve covers are like really what made the engine bay, I think, in the Stout. So obviously we could have done like a beams head and had variable valve timing on both intake and exhaust, and like probably had a way better power band on it, but we decided to keep the engine bay looking good.
Let's go backwards here. Originally, when we met you, you were drifting in New Jersey at Raceway Park. Originally, back then, when we met you, you were with Gary Gardella.
Yep.
And prior to that, you were already drifting on your own.
Yeah. I'd been in FD 2005, 6, and 7, and then I met Gary or at the end of 07, I met Gary, and he wanted to start a team.
So I would say you're probably one of the first guys like that were really taking drifting more seriously than just hanging out and sliding around. You guys had like small events. Like I would consider you basically a grassroots drifter.
Definitely.
That turned it into a career out of it.
Yeah, 100%.
So could you walk us like through our viewers to let them know how
If
did you
somebody
start?
wanted to aspire to be a professional drifter, what would you have to say to that?
Got to get a rear-wheel drive car, number one. And then just immerse yourself in the scene, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to learn so much from a bunch of like-minded people that are going to probably want to help you get to the next level and help you get better on track. Like, the community's so good in drifting, and there's so many great drivers now and great people around the events that you just need to get a car and just show up. And then you'll start really learning a lot.
Do they have drifting school?
There's multiple drifting schools around the U.S. now.
Okay.
There's one at Raceway Park that Chris Knapp runs, East Coast Drift School. He does a phenomenal job. He does phenomenal.
So that's probably a good place to start if you're just a fan of the sport.
You want to just try it out, then that's the best thing to do.
Actually, I think at East Coast Drift School, you don't even need the car. They have cars.
They have cars,
possibly
school cars.
rent or do with the program. That's pretty cool. So going even a little bit further back there, 2005 is when you would say drifting started for you?
No, I started in 2000, end of No, yeah, and 2002 roughly.
Is when you first started. First
Well,
time
I
ever.
didn't even know what I was doing was drifting. Like I got a ride in a friend's Fox Body Mustang, and he just was burning the town down, doing donuts and burnouts and stuff. And me and my twin brother were in the car, and we're like, "Yeah, we want to do this." Yeah, so we pulled like $1,700 together out of our friggin' dresser drawers, and
Man, you got a lot of money just stored away in these drawers.
hey, we worked for my dad on the weekends, all right?
Hey. So 2002, correct me if I'm wrong, that's right around the time Formula Drift started?
No, FD. Well, Formula Drift wasn't even started yet, or maybe it was, but they didn't have like actual pro events. They brought the Japanese drivers to
over.
Irwindale
Started
to
with
throw an
D1
event.
GP, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they kind of started with doing like that kind of demo, and then they didn't start the actual Formula Drift Championship officially until 2004.
Okay.
So you're one of the,
So I'm one of the first guys. I didn't do anything in the 04 season because I was still kind of building my car, like getting an SR20 and a 240 and kind of figuring my shit out. But I did 2 events in 05, and that's really what kickstarted me to doing Formula Drift full time was that. But in 02, we pulled our money together, broke out the one ad, bought a Mustang, burned down our town for an entire 8 months, and then figured out that drifting was an actual sport.
outside of where you guys were.
Yep, came to the U.S. We found out that Raceway Park was throwing events, like actual sanctioned events. So I sold the Mustang, bought a 240, and just started going to events. And down at Raceway Park, it was sick.
And at that time, like, I'll let you go with the list of OGs who you were drifting with at the track at that time. 'Cause
Yeah.
all those, everyone ended up turning pro eventually.
A
at
lot
some
of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the early adopters like Chris Forsberg, Tony Angelo, Von Gittin Jr., and now there's other host of drivers that went pro or drove in Formula D events.
Originally Drift Alliance, right?
Drift Alliance was formed kind of after
Right.
I think more towards 05, well, I got more brought into Drift Alliance around the end of 2005, but they had already kind of initiated and
Been
started
around.
the team, I think, in 04. Because they all got picked up by Team Falcon and they were
Right.
crushing it and their cars were sick. And then I was still like the loner on the East Coast, like, yo, I want to get in, let me in.
Those dudes were all, I want to say they were all from Jersey.
Jersey and Pennsylvania.
And then
Vaughn was from from Maryland. Chris and Tony are from Pennsylvania, and the rest of the boys from Club Loose. Most of them are all from New Jersey.
shout out to Club Loose because of that group and because of Club Loose, drifting became what it is in the tri-state area, East Coast.
Yeah,
And they're still
absolutely.
around today.
I
Yeah,
gotta shout
to
out my
this
boy
day.
Wagner. He also came out of Club Loose and was a pro in FD for a full season too.
Shout out to Wagner.
Another OG.
Very cool. So, Club Loose came from just a local event at Raceway Park, turned out to be known worldwide because of the internet. Even, what was it back then? I don't even know. Was it MySpace? Might have been the heydays of Facebook back then.
Definitely MySpace was going down, and then I don't even know when we transitioned to Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
not
just
even
blurry.
sure.
It was so long ago now.
It's very blurry.
Yeah.
But we shows our age, right? We were
It
part of
does.
those days. I did have a MySpace. I did customize my
I
page.
did have a MySpace
You did?
customized. I had the Nextel and
Yeah.
Chirp numbers.
So from just being at Club Loose, Gary Gardella, who was a professional drag racer, I believe it was Pontiac?
Yeah.
Or
No,
Chrysler?
no,
Saturn. Wasn't it a
No,
Saturn?
he was driving Cobalt. Chevy Cobalt.
The Chevy
At first.
Cobalt.
No,
Right?
but into the, I'm talking
Into
about
the
into the drifting.
drifting.
Oh.
What were you,
Solstice, dude.
The
Solstice.
Solstice.
The Pontiac Solstice, yeah.
right? So he
Yeah.
was drag racing the Cobalt. Then they wanted to get involved into the drifting. They had the
Well,
Solstice, right?
They had the Solstice, and I think
Two of them. Didn't they have two that matched?
Yeah.
And then that's how he found you, because he needed a driver.
I don't exactly know. I just remember meeting Gardella and talking to him in 2007 at the end of the season. I think might have been at SEMA. I can't remember now. And he had a good conversation with him. He was just like, he committed right there, like, yeah, I'm down, let's do this thing. And I was like, holy shit, I was ready to quit. So thank God this happened. Because I came off like a super hellish season in 2007, driving across country and, just running your own program and car braking literally nonstop and just like
And at that moment,
in debt at that point.
you were self-funded.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
you did a full Formula D Pro season out of pocket?
No, we found like I think it was like 17 grand from sponsors.
Okay.
And we're able to do a full, I think 6 rounds out of that cash. Well, no, I was in debt, so.
You're like on credit card technically.
Yeah, at the end it was on credit card for sure.
So it was just perfect time and planets aligned. Gary's like, hey, just drive for us.
Because literally I was gonna just go home, work for my dad, pay my debt off, and just pick up the pieces and figure out
Figure
where I
out what's
landed.
next.
Yeah,
Hey.
exactly. And then the Gardella thing popped up, and I was just like, it was literally probably this turning point in my career, getting on Gardella racing.
Because then, would you then classify yourself, because it's not my car anymore, I'm just jumping into a car getting paid, now I'm a professional drifter. I'm getting paid
I never
to
looked at that
drift.
looked at it like that, because drifting was still like, there's only 6 rounds out of the year, so I was still going home and working for my old man. It's not like you're making a full-time salary
Right. Okay.
drifting in those days.
Okay.
So I was making maybe like 20 or 25 grand a year, maybe more than that. I can't remember. And then I just make the rest of my money.
You know how many people watching this are like, I wish I got any type of money to just drift my car, right? So at that point,
well,
hey,
yeah,
you're professional, bro.
100%. But yeah.
I think once you get a check for any type of driving or any type of just being behind the wheel, all right, I guess I'm a professional now. Somebody just paid me to get behind the wheel here.
I don't think I decided that I was actually a pro until like maybe 2011 or 2013 or something
Is when
like
you quit,
that.
when you embrace the title.
Yeah. Yes.
Why is that?
I don't know, because I don't know.
Was it accomplishments or more?
Yeah, it's
more
more based on driving skill and what I felt like I was like proud of on track, kind of thing, I guess. Yeah.
So just so that people know, that took a long time. So we're talking about you started
about
doing
10
about
years.
02.
Yeah.
So almost 10 years. So the work was definitely put in. It's not like you just hopped in a car and you were the man.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
That's good. That's a good takeaway, because I think a lot of people now, especially they think of instant success and it's like, oh, I could do that, and that's not the case.
TikTok is a
Definitely not.
lie.
TikTok is a lie.
I wish I had TikTok back then, because I mean, you drifted at one point. This was in 08. I leased a BMW Z4M.
Oh, yeah.
And
right. You
remember that?
literally,
I remember what the
but
situation.
We're
literally,
gonna play the B-roll
the
of this.
day I got that car, I picked that car up on Tuesday. I said I'm gonna go to Englishtown, whatever the next day was, to drift it. And I literally went around it was my first time. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
You? Like
I
personally?
did. Me
you?
personally. Still had the temp tags on it. I went around and the guy was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I have no idea." He says, "You look like you're
I'm
on a
trying
road
to drift
course."
it.
Yeah, it
Like,
looked
bro,
like
your rear tires aren't even kicking,
I
bro.
wasn't doing nothing. I didn't know about sidestepping the clutch, nothing. I'm just ripping it first and second. I did a couple donuts and I was like, "Yeah, I'm done."
And then brought it back and we're
then I
like,
brought it back and my tires are shot. And these dudes was like, "Yo, let's see the video." I ain't got nothing for you because I didn't do anything.
look, we need somebody professional who we could do this, and we're good friends with Gary, so we hit him up like, yo, we know you guys are going to be at the track sometime soon. He's like,
'Cause you
yo,
guys are
bring it by.
testing.
We didn't know who you were yet.
Yeah.
He's like, bring it by.
He's like,
We
"I got a
got
guy
my
for you."
driver, and he'll jump into the car. And I remember you're like, yeah, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah, definitely.
That turned out to be our first viral video. That video had over 1 million views on.
Did it?
You remember Street Fire?
Yes, I do.
It
Yeah.
did.
Yes.
That was the first time we had ever had a viral video, and then we ran out of ideas for a very long time after that. it was kind of like that one-hit wonder back then. We're like, damn, that was a cool idea.
It still hit though.
What's next?
It still hit. That's like my YouTube channel.
I remember Street Fire. We immediately, like a couple weeks after that video hit, we saw them at SEMA and like, yo, keep it up. We didn't even know about monetization or nothing back then. They probably made a whole bunch of money off that video, off of ads. And like, when's the next one cover? Like, yeah, don't worry about it. We're like,
There was no next
what
one.
else we got, bro? So, yeah, I totally.
Well,
what year was that? 2008?
That was 08. 'cause
That was 08.
That's when I
Yeah.
picked up
you
the
guys
car.
showed up with like a spray paint,
Yeah, we
spray
spray
painted
painted the
hood.
hood.
Yeah, so we
And then
wrapped the hood.
Yeah.
We
And
wrapped
then-
the hood, and
I
everyone was
remember the
commenting
security
like,
guard
Yo, this
got
is a brand
pissed.
new car and you got the hood spray painted?
Yeah, the security
Security
guard
guard
got
was
pissed
yelling at
off,
you.
which made the video even better.
Yeah, he was fired up at me. I'm like, bro, I just
He was
did what
like,
I was told to do.
That was exactly what you said in the video. These guys told me to do it.
he was like, "You're supposed to be driving around the parking lot, not burning up the goddamn thing." You were like, "I don't know."
That made that video
That
so
shit
good.
was so
That
funny.
was not planned. That dude he came in
fired up,
hot.
Yeah, he
dude.
came in with his lights on.
Yeah. He was ready to do his job.
He was just a Joe Schmo regular security guard.
Yeah, he had
too.
no idea. He had no idea.
Dang. So, you went from Gary's team? What was the evolution of Formula Drift for you after that? Because Gary stopped at some point.
Yeah, Gary stopped. We kind of butted heads a little bit, and it was 2011, and I was driving the Camaro at that point, and still had the RB deal, and I don't know, like everybody was kind of like not at each other's throats, but it was like, I don't know, everybody was like kind of
I think honestly,
upset with the program a little bit.
Gary
and,
didn't. He says it to this day. He was just never into drifting.
Yeah.
So that
he just wanted to
wasn't
see.
his thing.
He was the type of dude that just wanted to see results no matter what, and it kind of rushed the car into competition, and we weren't getting them, and I crashed it a couple times, and so parted ways after that, and then I kind of tried to get back on my feet with jumping back into like an old crusty 240SX and actually doing well in that car the next year, and then Gary had ended up selling the program to Tyler McQuarrie. Like the rig, the cars, everything.
He sold everything. Yep.
Yep. And just said he was done, which is a bummer because he ran a really professional program. Coming from the drag racing world, he knew how to run a real deal program. And him and like Papadakis are probably the only two guys that knew how to run that. Run a team at that level at that point.
At that point,
They had
they've
the
already
drag
had
racing
experience
background.
from
So he
just
brought
the
a lot of
business
that
background.
professionalism to it. But it was also tough because GM, that was in 08 when the crash and everything was going
The
down.
funding started
So
backing
funding
out.
was like non-existent, and he was pulling out of pocket quite a bit to run the program. And
Just
thankfully,
wasn't fun for him anymore.
yeah, I think he was just stressed out, and
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Like tempers weren't really the best.
And it kept.
It happens, dude.
You stayed in it just because
I stayed in because I loved this.
Loved
I
drifting.
loved doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you talked about, building a crew. If you want to get into drifting, you got to have some support behind you. Your team or your crew that you have now, is it the same team that's been with you since back then?
The guys that I have now we've been working together a long time. Dominic's still on the program, and I met Dominic through Gary back in 2008. So that's another long-standing relationship, which is really cool. And it's cool because Dom has progressed on some of my cars, like building crazy shit, And
So here's a good question for somebody who's starting off. Like, all right, if you want to start getting into this, moving towards a professional route, you need a team behind you. This isn't a one-man show thing you could do.
Oh, absolutely not.
So somebody who's like, well, how do I go about building a crew? Is it like hiring where you got to put out a professional resume? What would be your recommendation to building a solid crew?
Dude, it's I don't know. People just kind of come along, and then you just kind of like connect with certain people, And that's kind of the deal that happened with me. Was my crew chief now, Brian. We've been working together since 2013, and I met him at the shop that helped build the first FRS that I got, and he kind of progressed his skill set all the way through the years until he's like really polished and has a lot of skill sets and a lot to offer a professional drifting program and driver. So he's my crew chief, but he's also, he does professional mil-spec wiring for the cars and for a lot of my cars as well. He does a lot of data analysis now, and really helps tune the freaking car like really, really good, and always gives me a great setup. So like having relationships like that, you want to be able to grow with somebody, so you want to be able to connect with somebody right off the bat, and if you have that, I think you're going to have like really long-standing relationships, and to be able to grow with people in your career, I think is how and why I have had a lot of the success that I've had on track.
So you and your crew have gone well over a decade competing in Formula D. Today, 2023, moving into 2024, if there was one thing you could change about the sport of drifting in general, what would it be?
Oh my God,
One
that's
thing.
Such a hard question. One thing right now is I wish we could do like tube chassis or tubular, like more. I wish we could expand the rule book, do double A-arm suspension, and just open the rule book up to be able to add a little bit more engineering into the cars.
Almost like an unlimited class,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, yeah, exactly.
like a real pro
and that's
class.
how I feel what we should be. Like the cars and the components that we're working with in the window of the rule book is we've been doing it for now 10 years. Like nothing's been really changed that much. So
Besides new chassis of
yeah.
the new models that come out.
Yep. So I don't know. I wish we could drive some super lightweight chassis with a ton of horsepower.
More
and
purpose built.
Purpose
Like
for drifting.
for-
Yeah.
that's
yeah,
what I mean,
yeah,
for drifting.
specifically for drifting. Yeah.
because that's
Yeah.
the same thing. Like you guys got cars, they're building purpose built drag cars, so they're they know what they need to do. They add stuff, take away stuff. So I see where you're coming from with
Yeah.
that, in that aspect.
And
Yeah.
you're talking just in the sport of competition of drifting, right? Because technically, you could build that car and privateer it and just demo exhibition this car.
That's basically what the Stout is: tube chassis, double A-arm
Okay.
suspension. That's essentially
Hey.
why I wanted to build that like that. We didn't have to do it like that, but I
Yeah.
wanted to do it like that for a reason, you know.
So exactly what you were thinking.
yes,
You actually you made it happen.
yes.
So also, Ryan, like I feel like you are one of the only guys out there that continue to push the envelope on these custom built cars, and wild engine, transmission, component like setups.
Yeah,
So
talk about that Ferrari
you-
in the
you
Ferrari
came
motor in
out
the
with
86,
doing
right?
a Ferrari motor in
Yeah.
a Toyota. So what whose idea was that?
I mean, it became my idea. I'm sure other people have had the idea as well, but
You made it happen.
I made it happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
with some very solid partners.
Yeah.
Involved. It really stemmed from learning what the Judd motor was and really wanting that as the ultimate engine swap for myself, and just knowing that engine was like unreachable at that time frame. I was like, well, what's the next best thing? Is like I really like that sound, like okay, a supercar
high
engine,
pitch,
you know? Yeah. So the 458. I actually did a Tuerck episode with Damon from Daily Driven Exotics way back then. He had a 458, and I got to drive it, and the thing was it was so cool.
You just loved it.
Yeah,
Fell in love.
I loved the sound. The engine was great, and I was like, well, I can't obtain a Judd, so this is kind of the next best idea.
So even back then, you already had the idea of hey, I want this Judd motor.
Yeah, as soon as I drove that, as soon as Damon let me drive that car, I was like, this is the idea. And then about a year later, I got contacted by my partner at the time, Gumout, and they wanted to do a build project, like a SEMA project. And they wanted to do like a classic like Corolla, classic Celica project. And I was like, do a 2J swap in it and just do exhibition stuff. I was like, dude, that's cool. It's be sweet, be fun to drive and build it and all that. I was like, but what if we double the budget and we do this idea instead? And they said yes, and I couldn't
Wow.
believe it.
You
Yeah.
didn't even have to fight for it.
I didn't even have to fight for it. It was like the easiest conversation. But I had such a good relationship with Rusty over there at the time. Like he's just such a good dude and a super fan of motorsport and of doing cool shit.
I like that. That's a true testament to that saying, shoot the shot.
Yeah, 100%.
You're like, I could make this real simple and just do what you guys are asking me, but you shot the shot and it worked.
Yes.
Might as well.
Yep.
And then so I think that car even put you even more spotlight on you, because then you were making cool ass videos, doing all that sort of stuff, and then move on a few years later, you actually were able to get the Judd motor.
Yep.
And that
And
Formula
that happened when
Supra.
when I found out I was getting the deal to drive for Papadakis Racing. So I had my own program, had the the GR86. Well, it was the 86 at the time, but when I found out I was getting a Papadakis drive in the Corolla, I knew I could sell my pro drift car and cash up and buy a Judd engine. And Judd engines, you don't just find them for sale. I
No.
found this engine for sale on Indy Competition on consignment, and it was up for a long time. Like people were like, what the hell is a Judd engine? Probably, you know what I mean? But I knew it was for sale, and I was like, this just feels right. Like I need to put the pieces together. This is the engine that I have to buy to start the project.
Can we talk numbers on that? Can you reveal that?
I got it for I think 70.
Wow. Yeah.
70 grand.
I think I overpaid for it, but yeah,
Well, I mean,
I
it's
paid
not-
70 for
It's
it.
not like you could just.
But
Oh,
the thing
let me wait
is,
for the
yeah,
next deal.
has
the
anybody
next
seen
one
a
at?
V10 motor? Like a used fucking Judd V10 engine
Yeah,
for
that's
sale
what I'm
on the
saying.
internet?
Not many out there.
Right.
You still
right.
have it.
Yeah. Well, it's in the car.
Oh yeah, everything's one piece still, right?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is drivable. Have
He
you
drives
driven
it all the time.
I drove in a World Time Attack last year, or this past year.
Sheesh. That's
So
cool.
that car fits in classes that you could actually compete in.
No, it was an exhibition
Oh,
car.
it is.
It would fit in a class, but it would not be as competitive as the other cars.
because it's not
yeah.
purpose built for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's a great. Dominic built a phenomenal car,
I've seen all the pictures.
but it's just the way Time Attack is and the way the classes
Yeah,
are
it's different-
set. It's like
Different rules and all that
an
stuff.
NA car is not gonna crush it
No.
unless it was like a legit, V10, 900 horsepower,
Mm-hmm.
20,000 red line.
RPMs,
yeah,
On that note, you've built and modified and been behind the wheel of many types of engines. What is the best engine to drift with?
Oh man, I mean, I'm just gonna lay on the 2J. I mean, the
Legendary.
the 4-cylinder that Steph had, the 2A RFE that's in the GR Corolla right now that Steph developed, that thing is amazing, dude. Like, he hits it with a nice shot of nitrous, and that thing, the power is phenomenal on that thing. It just can't go the extra step that we want for the car setup. Like if we had a smaller tire and we had another 200 or 300 pounds out of the chassis, like Steph originally intended for that engine, we'd be money. We could keep that 4-cylinder in there all day long.
And is that because of the rule sets? That you have
no,
to have
because
this?
we got picked up by Nitto Tire, and they have and there's a tire to weight ratio rule
Okay.
in FD, so there's weight classes per tire width.
Mm-hmm.
So Nitto came out with this phenomenal tire, and it's a 315, so we had to weight the chassis up like 300 pounds.
Ah.
And adding 300 pounds in a really, really big grippy tire is, it was just tough it's tough for the 4-cylinder.
Yeah, you're
It still does. We still have a phenomenally competitive car out of that thing, but it's just the it's stressed out.
Yeah.
I like how you brought that up. So the 2JZ, legendary motor, but nowadays they're expensive. The
Yes.
trannies, the motors, they're
All of it.
I think 10 grand just for the motor, 10 grand on the chassis if you want 10 grand on the transmission.
Well, they're not
What-
running those anyway.
What motor is the best bang for the buck to drift with?
Man, dude, I'm going to say Jay-Z's, dude.
It still is, man.
Yeah, because they're so reliable.
The 1JZ, because it's half
Even the
price.
1JZ too, yeah. I think they're so good. They're really robust. If you just do basic stuff, you can make really decent power, and you can drift the shit out of them things. You can beat them up, and they'll handle it. Yeah, run 500 horsepower, and which is plenty for someone starting out. Someone starting out should have like 300.
Out of all the platforms that you've driven, because you've driven a lot of cars, what is the best car that you say would be for drifting?
Oh, it's got to be a Toyota. So
Which one? Which Toyota?
I haven't driven them all yet, so I can't say.
Out of the ones
that
you've
I
driven,
have,
yeah.
The one time I drifted the GR Super Chassis, I really, really liked it. But the GR Corolla that I'm driving now under Papadakis Racing is the best competition car I have driven in my career.
Even better than your old pro car.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Old pro car was sick though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shout out to Toyota for that.
yeah, yeah.
And, obviously, budget's a big thing, especially for grassroots racers. What would you say is the best bang for your buck in terms of just total chassis, just getting a car out there, if you could make a recommendation for somebody?
Dude, I think there's a lot of good options from, I'm going to say that the 86 or the older FRS model right now is a really good bang for the buck. Your only issue there is you're going to be limited power-wise. You can go to a Nissan 350Z, which is, I think, ugly, but for a starter package,
Does the
over
job.
200 horsepower. Like, you can't beat that. Beyond there, you can get in the BMWs. I don't know too much about the setups on those, but I've driven a couple and they feel pretty solid. So
I see what you're wearing, the shirt that you're wearing, RSR. Give us not a lot. I don't think our viewers know. What is that? What does that stand
yeah,
for?
race service racing, or race service is the brand and company.
And how are you associated with them?
So yeah, long story, a little bit of a long story. Try to shorten it up, but so I met my manager Jacob in 2007, and he's basically been managing me since then, and we've kind of all grown together, and other people in the mix, like our friend Andy, James Kirkham, and we've all kind of grown together in this like media space, filming in Network A videos and creating content, and eventually into the 4586, filming some of the. Andy actually filmed the first off-seasons video that I had in the 240 with the black 240 with the Origin kit and the one in the SR20, and then we had filmed off-seasons 2 on a mountain in Vermont that then had the 1J in it. So we've all been working together for years, and everybody kind of collectively came together to start Donut Media, and then they got kind of pushed out on that deal, unfortunately. But they still wanted
to be in that
wanting
space.
to just film branded content and just do cool video content. So
Is it because Donut got acquired?
No, well they got acquired more recently.
Oh, okay.
But they wanted to do more studio stuff, like the videos that you see them do now.
Right.
The branded content wasn't pulling in any money, and it usually costed money. But it's obviously just a part of building
the brand,
that area or that part of the company. But they just didn't see it as a profitable thing, so they kind of let Jacob and James and Andy kind of go. So they just decided to run together and just start Race Service. Yeah, Race Service was the name. And then I was like, I'm coming out. So I moved out to California and stayed there for about 3 years. And the boys started crushing it, getting a lot of really big clients like Hot Wheels. And now they're just doing a lot of stuff in Formula One, which is a big deal. So really happy for those dudes and because we got there, they kind of acquired this space, and it was like an auto mechanic shop from like the 60s. So it was like
that place looks awesome.
It was like a dirt den.
The way they set it up,
They
made it pop.
For sure. It's now like it's so rad.
Yeah.
And we were there from the beginning when there's still oil stains all over the place, and knocking down some of the structures and so that they could paint and kind of refurb it into the place that it is now. We ran our FD. Chris Forsberg and I ran our FD programs out of there from I think 2018 and 2019, and then they started really getting serious and like redoing the place out until what you see it is now.
So you've been on both coasts, East Coast, West Coast, like you just mentioned. What is the best? Well, even broader question: what is the best track to drift on?
Man, that is tough. That's such a loaded question.
How about a top 3?
Top 3 for me, like the places that I've been.
So Ryan Tuerck's top 3 tracks to drift on.
Oh man, well, it's open-ended for me, but the ones that I have drifted on would have to be this place in Norway where they have Gatbill at this track called Rudskogen, and I probably didn't pronounce that right, but like crazy elevation, like really phenomenal track to drive on. I had an absolute blast out there. Saw the track in Latvia. Riga called Bikerniki, and that track is super, super fun to drive and really, really fast and crazy. And then here in the States, I think Road Atlanta is my other favorite track.
Nice. That's actually 2 of those tracks are outside of the U.S.
Yeah.
So you've done a lot of drive and drifting outside of the States. What have you noticed between the cultures of driving all around the world? Is it just one sport? You're all just all on the same page?
Yeah, totally. I mean, everybody, you go to different countries and there's a lot of different culture and different languages, obviously. But yeah, everybody the same, man. Super competitive.
I see like right now, one of the big spaces that are getting really competitive in drifting is China.
Really?
That's what I saw. That's what people tell me.
They were coming up. I don't know where it's at now because a lot of the U.S. guys that were going there aren't going, and so I don't know what the state of drifting is over there. But they were definitely
for a while. I've seen a lot of videos. So I'm not as in depth into that, but I did see. I'm like, man, they got some crazy stuff going on here.
There were some crazy cars and some teams with some deep pockets, like really flowing a lot and throwing a lot into the sport of drifting. And I didn't get an opportunity to go to drive any of that, but I heard the tires were insane. Like the cars were ridiculous, and everybody had a blast for what it looked like.
Okay.
Do you see yourself seeing the way that the industry is moving, and the way we're trending in society? Do you see yourself drifting an electric car in the near future?
I don't know. I might be phased out by then. Hopefully I am, to be honest.
So that's not in Ryan Tuerck's short-term goals to drift an electric car?
I think a hybrid alternative would be sick. I think like using the electric motor as like a power assist almost like not like a almost like a push to pass kind of thing, or maybe like a shot of nitrous, but like with an electric motor, but not a full electric. I mean, yeah, the performance on them is ridiculous. Obviously, the amount of torque that they can produce, but as far as like the sound and what everything that motorsport means to me is
not
combustion engine.
Yeah,
so.
it's different.
What if the sport shifted in that direction? Would you stand on your heels there and be like, nah, I'm not driving because it's electric cars?
I don't know. I'd try it out for sure.
That.
I would definitely be
Give it a shot.
I would give it a shot and have an open mind about it, but I don't know. I probably wouldn't be as passionate about the sport like that.
So we see it at trade shows, specifically here at PRI, the Lucas Oil Stadium. It's now half dedicated to EV. So like some of the industry is embracing it. Others are truly standing their wall and saying like, no, like we're not going in that direction, despite a lot of the forces and government and all this saying we are going in that direction.
Yeah.
So I do see a lot of obviously these trade shows, EV wasn't part of it before. Now people are becoming open-minded to it. I walked that hall. There was a lot of people down there. So people that we speak to, we've yet to speak to anyone who's been pushing towards the
Like 100%
route.
supporter.
So,
No, you haven't found anybody.
no, not quite
yet.
yet.
Yeah.
So that's why we always ask that question.
I'm happy to be on the same page.
Yeah. And I think another thing that we always ask too, especially, doing it at a professional level, is how important is it to maintain these relationships you have with your sponsors and also, just people in the industry in general. Because obviously you've been dealing with your sponsors. It's not like every year Ryan has a new guy. You've been dealing with these guys for years now. And I think the only way you maintain that, obviously, is you have a relationship with them.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do. I mean, motorsport sponsorship, as everybody knows in the sport, is so hard, like so hard. And I feel like we're lucky in drifting because we have such a great social platform, and Formula Drift gives us a phenomenal platform to try to sell sponsorship on. And there's a great return on investment there, and the sponsors see that, and they're open to obviously partnering with people and having long-standing relationships.
Yeah.
So the parent company to Gumout is ITW, and when Gumout decided to take the marketing dollars in a different direction, Rain-X was right. We already had a relationship with Rain-X throughout the years of working under that umbrella,
Right.
and they were down to step up and keep the program going. So it's
Yeah.
like really cool. It was like 7 years with Gumout, which is crazy to me, and then it's been 2 years with Rain-X.
And I think that's
it's been
crazy
awesome.
because in all the other sides of motorsports, a lot of sponsors don't even stay with people for that long.
Well, that's what I mean, dude. Most of our deals are all 1-year deals.
Yeah.
For most partners, and
for-
Toyota's
and-
obviously been another very long-term relationship, and it's been dude, they're just so
Yeah, like you look
easy and awesome to work with,
you
and
look
they
at
give you a
I-
lot of opportunity.
I feel like that's important because a lot of people don't see that if they're not into drifting. That these guys have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Like in drag racing, you might be such and such today, and by next month you're with somebody else,
Yeah.
and you've been able to go seasons with your same partners,
Yeah.
which speaks a lot.
Yeah.
Key takeaway from this is don't burn bridges and plant the seeds early for these relationships.
Absolutely, dude. You never know who you're talking to, and everybody should just have a good attitude on their shoulders. And we all know that that competition element in racing brings out another side and tempers flair. I mean, it's just the
That's
way
inevitable.
just the way it goes with racing in general. So, but always try to just keep a good head on your shoulders and be polite to everybody.
And content is king these days. It's one thing to be a great driver, but if you're not a great personality and you're not putting out good content, it's kind of you're doing yourself a disservice, because if you're just 100% focused on your skill of driving, I think you could be a testament to this, to be a professional drifter and be able to be hired on different levels and for different gigs and outside of just your competition.
Yeah.
What would you say the percentage is of your talent of drifting and your talent of being a personality? 50-50?
Oh man, I never even thought about that. I'd say for me, since I do a lot of content, I really try to have a good presence on social media and doing videos and stuff. I'm going to say, especially with my results this past year, it's probably about 50-50.
You actually, I heard an interview. I forgot which driver it was for F1, and he's like, I want to say it's 90-10, because he was like because they're kind of like a circus, right?
Yeah.
At least you guys get some breaks in between your events.
Yeah.
They're back to back every weekend.
Yeah, they're insane. I do what, 22 races a year?
International, all different
Internationally?
time zones.
Insane.
And before they even get on track, they got to do how many appearances?
Right.
And it was just this
Their
Las
lives
Vegas
are
race.
ridiculous, dude.
It's crazy.
We're doing 8 rounds and it feels insane.
That's where he was. Whoever I was watching was like, it's 90%, 10%. 90% doing the appearances, being a face.
Yeah.
10% driving.
Yep. Oh, 10% driving for sure. Yeah.
Kinda wild.
Absolutely. Like, yeah, I try to get to as many grassroots events, even outside of Formula D, and in between filming videos and doing all the other like grid life events and demo stuff. It's I still like to get to all the grassroots events, because that's where the ultimate
Where you
fun
have
for
fun.
me is. That's where
Yeah.
that's where everything started, is doing those events. So
It's glad
for
to
me,
see that
that's
you're still
like-
having fun doing
that's
it.
what still keeps the passion going, and that's what allows me to still feel like I want to go to FD.
Good
and
reason
compete.
why you built the Stout, right? Because
100%. Yeah.
you did it for fun.
Yeah.
I just saw you were drifting that thing in the backwoods. Was that Virginia?
In West Virginia, yeah, it
Yeah.
was wild, dude.
On the streets.
On the streets, they shut the streets down. We did this like insane road that comes down in this valley and goes up the other side. So we did the one side the one day, and then we went transition to the other side of the valley on the
And
other
you
day.
weren't by yourself. I think there were like,
No, it was like
Couple
30
cars
cars.
with you guys.
a couple dozen
Yeah.
cars, right?
Dude,
That's
the first run I went down the hill. It was raining out, and I lined up first, and then so did 30 other cars behind me, and I was like, oh shit.
Yo, shout out to West Virginia, because they actually supported this, right? Whoever set
It
up
was
this,
Drift Appalachia is the team who kind of put it together, and the
Yeah.
back roads of Appalachia are the ones who got the permitting to do it.
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah, so they had this what they call it stage 2 is the one in West Virginia, and then they had done another one in Kentucky, and I heard that road was like insanely fast, like
Wow.
scary fast. And then the ones that we did in West Virginia were a little bit more like Japanese toge style.
What's more fun, drifting on track or drifting on the street?
Depends.
All right, so
I
you
mean,
named your top 3 tracks to you. Would you-
Drifting on the track is definitely more confidence inspiring. You can drive better. You can work on your game and your skill set. If you're driving on the street, which I haven't done in years, not like that, but on that toge,
I feel like there's a fear factor to driving on the street.
yeah, I mean, you're an idiot these days if you do that. You're an absolute
well, especially,
friggin'
I mean,
idiot.
you just came off the drifting on the Appalachia
But
streets,
that's what I
right?
mean. But doing a closed down section of
Yeah.
street like a mountain, like a real toge,
Yeah.
that is like, well, it's a whole new world because we don't get to do that that often. So it's like that's the ultimate draw for me.
So when you first started, like for us, it was in Jersey at least, everyone was going to street racing, right? So you're street racing for money and that. What is the competition for, like, you guys are just starting out back home in New Hampshire. Is there a competition where you guys are drifting for money? No, right?
No, it's
More for
it's
fun.
totally different
Just for
world.
fun.
Okay.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's,
even
it's
if you
all
watch,
just for
like,
fun.
The
I hear you, like
the
it,
videos.
I
and
can't even imagine like that situation being in
In
drifting.
drifting, right?
Yeah, mainly because it's not it's a judgmental sport.
Right.
So you're not racing really,
Exactly.
but like if you watch Initial D, it feels a little
That's
bit
what I
more
mean, because
like
that gives you
but-
that, like, yo, I'm going to beat you. But, like,
Yeah,
what are
yeah,
we doing?
Yeah, but like I like drag racing because of that fact. Like the grudge matches and all that shit is really cool to me. But drifting is definitely chill. Like you're just going to shred with your homies and have a
Yeah.
good time kind of thing.
I think between you being a professional drifter and then your core route of just drifting for fun, if you had to pick one, what is the best side of drifting?
I don't know.
Because
I don't
there's
know.
kind of the opposite to that, right? Like if you
Yeah.
weren't driving professionally and just doing it for fun, you'd probably be working at your dad's shop or.
I would be doing. Yeah, I'd be doing. I was like pressure washing garbage trucks and tanker trucks and doing all that, and that's what funded me to be able to get to the position I am now. And I would definitely still be doing some of that stuff still. Yeah, for sure.
So what's more fun?
I don't know. I guess it depends. I've had a great career, and I've been able to figure out how to keep it fun all these years. So definitely that.
I think part of it is also just because you're a thrill seeker. Because not only
Yeah.
outside of drifting,
Yeah.
you ride dirt bikes. You guys, you're into
That was my background, though. We
Yeah.
all grew up on dirt bikes racing, and then got burnt out because that was our whole childhood, and then immediately dropped that and got straight into cars. It was crazy.
So did you ever picture yourself back then on a dirt bike, like, hey, I want to do this professionally? Because obviously
On a dirt bike, yeah.
having a career as a dirt bike, it's possible.
Well, we got our pro licenses at I think 17, and
Oh,
we did
wow.
we did some we qualified for 2 nationals when we were 18, I think, and then we did the whole Canadian motocross pro series one summer up there, which was
So you live both lives.
yeah, totally.
Which one do you like better?
Well, we never got to really the point where we wanted to in motocross as professionals. We kind of got burnt out at the time. We were becoming pros and, you know, being able to qualify for like AMA nationals and stuff. And then cars were the biggest draw. Like once we got that ride in that Mustang, it was like, all right,
Life-changing.
and then we're gonna hang up the bikes and get to the 4 wheels instead.
I like it. Ryan, we appreciate you taking the time with us,
Yeah,
sitting
of
down
course,
at the
man.
show. No, you're a very busy guy. I know you're flying
Well, I
back
got to
New
sit down and
Hampshire.
chat with you guys. This is a lot more chill than what we've been doing all day.
Yeah, we like to keep it relaxed here, keep
Yes.
it real. And no, thank you for your time. If anyone wants to follow you on Instagram, drop your social media handle.
Yeah, just my everything is at Ryan Tuerck
At
for
Ryan
all
Tuerck.
for all the socials and all the stuff.
At Brian ESR.
Hugo ESR.
If you like this episode, like, comment, and subscribe. Ryan, best of luck in 2024.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.